We are an unschooling family. What does that even mean? In this video, I'm going to talk about what unschooling is. I'm also going to talk about what unschooling isn't, and I'll share a little bit of our background as homeschooling parents as to what led us down this educational pedagogy. I'll also share a few thought leaders, thinkers, speakers, authors that really resonate with our way of thinking. And to wrap it up, I'll try my best to just give a few concrete examples of what our day in the life looks like as an unschooling family. I hope you'll stick around to watch. This is That Mountain Life, the channel where we document our family's outdoor adventures. That is not going to change, but I want to talk about this subject because it's very interwoven with everything we do as an outdoor adventurous family, and it lights me up to talk about it. Thanks for being here. So before we jump into the contents of this video, I want to provide a caveat, and that is, this is the internet. You are completely allowed to disagree with me. Ooh. You do not have to think like me or share the same values that I have, and that is a beautiful thing. In fact, the comment section is a place where you can write and share anything you want, but I ask that you just do it in a respectful manner. Now I will do my best to describe and explain what unschooling is. Unschooling is a perspective, an approach, an educational pedagogy that challenges the widely accepted paradigm of education. Unschooling is a child-centered approach to allowing the natural learning process to unfold. Unschooling is about trusting the process. There's no meddling, there's no controlling as the adult, because kids come wired with curiosity, creativity, and the capacity to learn. I can see that in our toddlers, and when our kids were little, there was no lesson plans for my kids to learn how to talk. There was no lesson plans for my kids to learn how to walk. And that gets carried on with reading and writing and showing an interest and a passion in any area or topic of life. Just how broad and holistic unschooling and the approach of unschooling is. Life is learning and learning is life. Unschooling is a style and a type of homeschooling, but most homeschooling is not unschooling. Most homeschooling families and households are going to follow a curriculum to make sure their children are still on track and are following a grade-based or age-based curriculum. Now, the thing about a lot of homeschooling families that end up adopting an unschooling philosophy is a lot of them start off following a more regimented curriculum and then evolve and shift into using less and less curriculum to potentially none at all. Unschooling is not educational neglect. Unschooling is not having our kids be able to just do whatever they want, whenever they want. There's still leadership, mentorship, guidance, and boundaries. There's still a container for our children to explore, create, and learn within. It's simply a lot more child-centered. There's no adult, top-down, formalized lesson plans. We're not planning and scheming and scheduling our day or our month or our year to make sure that at this point, this box is ticked. Unschooling does not mean you might not ever use a curriculum. Curriculums are tools. They are useful, especially if a child has a natural inclination for wanting to explore a certain topic. A curriculum could be a great tool and resource used to dive more into learning. The beef with curriculum is when it's standardized, compulsory, and mandatory. That's not going to land in line with every child's spark and their natural curiosity or where they're at in their learning journey. Courtney is an elementary school teacher by trade. She has a teaching certificate and she used to work as a music and arts and special ed teacher in the public school system here in town. I worked as an outdoor educator, leading canoe trips with private schools and public schools and all sorts of kids of different ages, working with them in an outdoor setting. I've had many conversations with other educators about the shortcomings of public school and about how and why there aren't more children connected to their zone of genius, why there's so much stress and anxiety and expectations loaded onto kids to just keep up with that standardized compulsory path that all of them are being forced to participate in. When Courtney used to teach indoors, she was always looking outside at the mountains, and she could just intuitively sense that there was a better way and there was a healthier way for kids to be learning instead of being inside a classroom all day. Many people believe that it's because of Courtney's teaching degree that's why we're able to homeschool, unschool, because they're like, oh, she's got it, she's teaching. Courtney doesn't lesson plan or teach our kids. There's no subjects going on in our home. There's no daily topics or lists that we are going through. She's not in teacher mode. She's in mother mode. She's in watch these kids unfold before her eyes mode. And so we both have a background in education of sorts. We're not using it in a formalized way. I can't speak word for Courtney, but I know that in my journey, I have met countless people and many people who have talked about how school didn't fully serve them, and how even after going to get degrees and pursuing careers and jobs, that wasn't the bit, that wasn't the core part that was gonna make them happy or successful in their life, their relationships. I think that just hit home. That really shaped me. Also, as somebody who works within the mountain culture, I've met plenty of people who are kind of busy following their hearts instead of taking the safe path. I want to recognize that school is the safest place for some kids. Their home life can be terrifying. And I recognize that it's a privilege for myself or Courtney to be able to stay home and spend time with the kids. And to be clear, it's mostly Courtney, as I work 2 full-time jobs. I don't believe in the least that no learning is happening in schools, or that teachers and administrators don't have their hearts and intentions in the right place. And I recognize that there's some great things happening in schools and that children are learning. These two opposing things happening on the learning journey as a human. It's important to be a part of a group. It's important to know how to put your own needs and desires aside to be part of something bigger than yourself, like a class or a group or a community. And it's also important as an individual to tap into your own strengths and to go on your own hero's journey, to discover what your gifts and strengths are so that you can contribute those to the world. And I just don't believe that a public school standardized curriculum, and even most private schools, are not honoring enough of the individual's journey. They don't see and honor the uniqueness that is alive within everyone. And not only is there a risk of children's curiosity and sense of wonder and creativity being crushed, I believe that that's happening for the majority of kids who participate in standardized education. We're not the first family to adopt an unschooling approach to life and learning. In fact, there are plenty of thought leaders, thinkers, and some educators out there that have all gone rogue. For whatever reason, ended up adopting and kind of agreeing on this thread of how children learn best. The science and research is starting to back this up. The process of learning and how we learn best as humans, the process of childhood development, a lot of it is starting to point towards this idea of experiential hands-on learning, kids needing to be in uptake mode. You can't just sit in a classroom or even just follow a standardized curriculum and be taught what to learn and how to learn it and when to learn it. There are more superior ways. And so the following people and resources are just going to be shared to point you in a direction so that you could maybe go down a rabbit hole and learn a little bit more if you want to. The first author that comes to mind is John Taylor Gatto. He's got a bunch of books. He won the New York State Teacher of the Year. Ken Robinson is a TED Talk speaker that was one of the most watched TED Talks of all time, or at least in the top 10. I remember watching that video in my early 20s, and it really aligned with the way I was working with children in an outdoor setting. Peter Gray is another one. He wrote the book Free to Learn. It's incredible. It's amazing. He's somebody that I want to keep learning more from. And another book here is Call of the Wild and Free by Ainsley Arment. And I'm actually going to read a little segment here from it for you. When I first began homeschooling, I knew I didn't want to replicate the classroom or study my old teacher's textbooks from college. Instead, I sought out the founders of philosophies and discovered there were a whole world of pedagogical inspiration to devour. I studied the great educators Mason, Montessori, Steiner, Dewey, Piaget, and others. I filled my gunny sack of knowledge with their ideas and sage insights, and I still go to them for wisdom from time to time. But as I observed my children in those early days, I could see the curriculum coming to life before my eyes. By learning alongside them every day, experience became my greatest teacher. I discovered the natural tools that are at every mother's disposal. Through this journey, 5 values began to emerge: I watched as the school of nature cultivated my children's physical and cognitive abilities. I saw the power of story weave its way into their souls. I witnessed the pedagogy of play fulfill its purpose in their growing minds and characters. I tipped my hat to the curriculum of curiosity as it taught them more than I could ever dream of showing them. And I stood in awe as the magic of wonder captivated their hearts and imaginations. Slowly, ever carefully, not to capsize the boat, I backed away from the syllabus and allowed these natural phenomena to become the precepts of our homeschooling. We've embraced these 5 values: nature, story, play, curiosity, and wonder, along with the proven science behind them and what has emerged in the philosophy itself. Wild and Free is not a formula, but a journey of conviction. It's one of intentional practices unique to every family. No matter your academic approach to homeschooling, natural tendencies are at work in your children. Don't fight them, tap into them, nurture them. And whenever your chosen method isn't matching up with your child, go back to the basics and let these principles be your guide. We may not all do it the same way, but we are in this together. So I can't recommend this book enough if you are new on a homeschooling journey. And it doesn't matter if you agree with the unschooling philosophy enough. This mom, this author, and she even has a good Instagram social media following. She's creating a movement here of wild and free children, which really align with what Courtney and I are doing. Even though I have a lot of conviction to this approach and way of seeing learning and life, I still believe that there's no one right way to live. And the unschooling process or lifestyle can look like so many different things for so many different people. An unschooling morning in our house often looks slow. The pace is just slower. Mom doesn't have to get out of bed and send our kids off to school. I think when our kids were really little, I used to get up and I would teach August, when he was 4 or 5 years old, how to make oatmeal. He would make oatmeal with me for 75 to 100 mornings. And on the 105th morning, he was able to make oatmeal himself on the stove. And that allowed Mom and or I to be able to laze in bed a bit longer while August made breakfast. And so that's an example of something we do in our slow mornings and a way that we empower in practical life skills, like how to cook oatmeal, to just unfold. Providing a concrete schedule or a framework of what our days look like every day is pretty difficult to do because we just don't follow a daily routine. But I think there is an overarching approach to, if not the day, at least our week. We like our kids to have some stimulation and some engagement in group activity or play with peers, friends, and teams or extracurricular sports. On a weekly basis, we don't want to overschedule our kids where they have so much stuff going on day after day after day, even in the afternoons or evenings, and we want them to be able to have some downtime. And so Monday will look like a slow morning, and the kids might not get out of their jammies until 9:30, 10 a.m. They've been coloring and drawing and looking at books and reading. August is an incredible reader, by the way, and we never sat down and forced him to read. He's our 10-year-old. So after that slow morning, we want to make sure that the kids get outside and get some fresh air. This could look like anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes of playing at the park, maybe meeting up with a friend and going to the bike park in the spring, summer, and fall, hitting a bike trail, going for a short hike or a walk. Courtney's been taking the kids ice skating. So we find some kind of outdoor activity or outdoor play, even if it's just in the backyard on their own, and we give them time to move their body and get some fresh air. Lunch, sometimes the kids are involved in helping with lunch. Sometimes we'd rather not have them help. If you're a parent, you probably know what that's all about. And then in the afternoon, again, there's going to be just a mix of depending on what the rhythm of the day involves. Right now, our kids are doing a lot of floor hockey downstairs. They have Lego and they just play. Play is the work of the child. But then we do sign our kids up for extracurricular activities. They're in Dolphins on the swim team right now. They've done soccer. August is on a hockey team. Luca's on a hockey team. Kids are all about to start freestyle skiing here on Saturdays or Sundays, doing it for 3 to 4 hours a day. Over the years, we also have signed up and participated in 2 different home learning programs for our kids. The first is Self-Design, a British Columbia government recognized program for home learners. It actually has quite a wide view and capacity for accepting and working with an unschooling family. So that's been really great in the past. And we also have enrolled and signed up, both August and Luca, in KDS, Kootenai Discovery School, a local school board run homeschooling program where we enroll them in that so that they can have that blended learning option where they get to go and spend time with their peers, another adult, and get out of the house and be part of something. And that often happens 1 to 2 days a week. Our intention with our home life for our kids is all about the rhythm and pace and tempo. We want them to be engaged and enrolled in certain sports and activities and be introduced to a variety of them. We want them to participate in a homeschooling group or a co-op or class of some kind, but we don't want it to take up 5 days of the week, 6 hours a day. Courtney does an amazing job as a stay-at-home mom, valuing our kids' need for rest and downtime. I know you see us doing outdoor adventures and it might give you this illusion of being go, go, go. But at the end of the day, our kids have a real good solid mix and a foundation of outdoor adventure and stimulation and downtime and rest in the house. Courtney has art supplies, craft supplies, coloring, drawing, puzzles. We have lots of board games and the kids will entertain themselves. They'll be bored sometimes and then wander over and just start doing something. A lot of great things are spawned from boredom. And so I hope that's helpful. I hope you find this video interesting. And if it aligns with you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments about your family's homeschooling, unschooling journey. That Mountain Life has over 1 million followers across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I've started sharing a little bit more about my unschooling approach and philosophy on Instagram and TikTok, but I haven't done it much in long form here on YouTube. But moving forward, I am going to continue to create more content challenging the mainstream educational norms in our culture. Some of the most common criticisms I receive when I talk about unschooling and homeschooling in general is that school is a safe place for many kids, and they don't have parents at home that are able to be with them and spend time. The kids have to go to school so that parents are able to go to work. And I understand that. Respectfully, it's not my job or my responsibility to be able to scale what I value and what is working for us. But I do believe that mainstream education in the West and public school can change and can start catching up to the science and research that is proving how children learn best. And we can create spaces, and the institution of school could evolve to one day come back to giving kids more time to run, move, and play freely, and to have more time built into the curriculum where they're able to explore interests and spend time on passion projects and learn in experiential ways. This is a huge topic. It's complex. And again, I don't expect everyone to agree with me. Thanks for watching. The next video I upload is going to be us of opening day, because the chairlifts are about to start spinning soon. So more skiing content to come this winter. Can't wait.